So before starting the session of Java, just want to know what's the difference between Java and other kind of programming language. Can anyone tell me? Is there is any difference between Java or other kind of, for example, if you are considering C, C++, right? So what's the difference? Anyone? So Java is called as fully object-oriented programming language. Okay. So in case of Java, we have everything works based on the concept of object-oriented. That is, we need classes, we need objects like that. Okay. So it is called as fully object-oriented program. In case of C and C++, now in case of C++, we can able to create class. Okay. But we can able to create program without any class. Okay. But in Java, we need to have any minimum one class in order to run a Java program. Okay, so without any without the concept of class, no, there is no concept of Java, right? So Java is called as fully object-oriented programming language. So can you know the difference between object-oriented and what we can say procedure programming language? Why we are using object-oriented programming language? Is there, can you say any difference between the object-oriented and procedural? So why all of you are going with object-oriented rather than procedure? Is there any drawbacks with object or procedure? Guys? എന്താ ഡിഫറൻസ് അറിയോ? എന്തിനാണ് നമ്മൾ ഒബ്ജക്റ്റ് ഓറിയന്റിലേക്ക് പോകാൻ കാരണം? So the main idea is now, in case of object oriented, it is easy to handle updations. Okay, so I will say a small story. Sorry for it. So it's in a textbook. Okay. Wait a moment, I just open. So I am referring everything with the help of this EdFirst publication. You can go for EdFirst because in EdFirst you can get the PDF of all type of programming languages. Okay. So in case of Java, so there in this textbook they are giving one example to showcase as an advantage of what we can say, what is the advantage of object-oriented over procedure programming. Okay. So the way of the, for example, in case of consider this example. Okay. So there are two kind of programmers are there. Okay. One is object-oriented, and other one is procedural. Okay. That is one is doing C, C++, C programming, and other one is doing Java programming. Okay, in that manner. So both given them one context. So this is the context. So in this context, they have three objects, right? One is square, and other one is circle, and third one is triangle. Okay. So the context is that the programmers need to create a interface, a graphical interface having these three objects. That is having these three shapes. One shape is square, circle, and triangle, right? So when a person click one object or one shape, what happens that the shape will need to rotate 360 degree. Okay, and a shape need to play a sound file, specific sound file. So that is the criteria. Okay, so you can visualize that in a graphic interface there are three buttons or three shapes. So one is a square, other one circle, and third one is a triangle. So once a user click any of the shape will rotate 360 degree and shape a specific file name or the sound file will play by clicking the shape. Okay, so in case of this example, so how this procedure oriented programming, or how there are two kind of programmers are there, right? One is C programmer and Java programmer, right? So how the C program going to approach this program or approach this problem? In case of C programming, or we are looking for the procedures, or we are looking for the functions. Okay, so what happens that in case of C programmer, they are going to create two functions here. Okay, so one function is function for rotate the shape, and other function is to play sound file along for the specific shape, right? In that manner, they are going to do a program, right? But if in case of object-oriented programmer, so how their approach is different. Okay, so in case of procedure-oriented programmer, in the case of C programmer, they are creating only two functions. That is, one function is rotate function, and other function is play sound function. Okay, so they are passing a shape over this function. Okay, when we click a shape, what happens that shape, the attribute along for that shape is passed through this function, and the function runs, right? Whether the rotation or whether the playing a sound file like that. Okay, but in case of object-oriented programmer, what they are looking for, they are looking for the objects in the context. Okay, they are looking for, instead of procedures, they are identifying the objects. What are the objects inside this program, like that? Okay, so in this program, what are the objects? The objects are these three shapes. So they created three classes. Object-oriented programmer need to create three classes, each class specific to each shape. That's one is square, and one class is for square, and other class is for circle, and third class is for triangle, like that. Okay, so once object-oriented programmer needs to create three classes because there are three objects present in our problem domain. Okay, then they have to code the functions inside that object. So inside that object, we have again two functions. One is rotate function, and other one is play sound function, like that. So in this competition, initial case, which programmer will win the competition? Initial case, if you are considered as a competition, right? There are two programmers are there, right? So which one finish first? Obviously, the procedure programmer will finish first because they only need to create one program having two functions, right? But in case of object-oriented programmer, they need to create three objects or three classes, and they need to code that specific function inside each class. So it will take time in case of object-oriented program. Okay, so I will show you the scenario. Here, this is Larry. Larry is actually a procedure-oriented programmer, C programmer. Okay, so Larry point of view, he created two functions. One is rotate, another one is play sound. So they are passing the shape over here, right? And in case of Brad is object-oriented programmer, and Brad needs to create three classes specific to each object, and inside each class, this function called rotate and play sound must be there. Okay, it's clear, right, up to this? So actually the difference is how we are approaching a problem. Okay, in case of procedure oriented, in case of C programmers, we are approaching the program as identify the procedures or identify functions inside the program or inside the problem. Okay, but in case of object oriented programmers, they are identifying the objects, which are the objects are there, and they need to create the class specific to each object, and they are creating objects out of the class, right? Then they are performing the operation like that. The approach or the way of thinking is different. Okay. So in this case, if consider this as a competition, we can say that Larry wins this competition because Larry needs to create only this kind of code, right? But Brad need to create a lot of code because it will take time, right? So what happens is that Larry thinking that he wins the competition, and right, then the boss came and boss do some changes. Boss asked them to create another object inside the graphic interface. That object is amoeba. Okay. So what happens is that in case of ordinary file, when we click this amoeba, we need to the sound file is different. Okay, there is a specific sound file for this specific shape, the amoeba shape. Okay, so what happens is that so a modification came here, right? So in case of any kind of if you are doing any kind of client application or any kind of application, right? So there will be kind of lot of modification will come across, right, for different meetings. So if you complete one instance, right, when you go for a client review, right, they are saying they need this kind of this additional things like that, right? So we need to modify like that. So same manner, the boss say that boss needs another shape in the graphic interface, and by clicking that shape, another way sound file need to be generated or need to be played, and the shape needs to be rotate 360 degree like that. Okay, so what happens that Larry or C programmer need to provide a if condition inside the play sound file, because the play sound file is different for amoeba. So if the shape is amoeba, then you need to play another file. So in that manner, Larry updated the code. Okay, inside the play sound function, it will check whether shape is amoeba. If it is amoeba, then it will play this AIF file. If it is not, so if it is not amoeba, it will play AIF file. If it is amoeba, then it is play this amoeba specific file like that. So need to provide if condition over there. Okay, but in case of Brad, what happens that Brad create another object because a new object comes, right? So Brad create another class specific to amoeba, and inside the plain sound, it will know we can code this play this play dot HIF need to be played inside that manner because it's another object. So what happens in this situation? Larry need to update existing code and need to do some modification over the existing code. So then we need to know. So when we do some modification to existing code, right? If there are something else, it is properly working. If you do some modification, that cause some problem to existing code, right? So there will be some errors from another side of code. If you're doing now, so this can be avoided if you're using object-oriented because we are creating another class. So the rest of the class is independent of this class, right? So if any of the modification happens to this class, it's more specific to that class, right? So it will be easy for we can find the bugs or find the errors, and it will not affect our already generated codes because they are all. So this kind of modularity is possible in case of object-oriented also, right? But in case of Larry or in case of C programmer, what happens that they are updating the existing code itself, right? They need to check whether it's working for the previous instance also, or previous cases also, right? So again, we can say that Larry wins the competition because Larry only needs to add this condition or this kind of if condition here, right? But Brad need to create a new class, so it will take some time. So if the matter of time is the case of competition, we can say that Larry wins again, right? So what happens is both came and both say that instead of rotating, both provide another updation. Both came again and you do some other modification, it changes the case study, right? So what happens is both came again instead and ask them that instead of rotating this amoeba shape, instead of rotating it on axis, need to provide another axis. That is here shape is rotated based on the center 0, 0, 0, right? if we are considering xy, it rotate in the base of center. But in case of amoeba, we need to mention some xy point, and based on that point, we need to rotate that shape instead of rotating based on origin. So, and another modification comes, right? So it will update. So in case of Larry, what happens? In case of Larry, you need to add a if condition inside the rotate code also. In case of rotate code, in case of amoeba, rotate is different, right? So what happens is Larry added another need to add this x and y point, need to update the existing rotate, and instead of shape number only, you need to receive x and y point for amoeba, for perspective of amoeba, right? Because the rotation of amoeba is done over this x and y point. So we need to receive this x and y point as parameter. So we need to update the existing function rotate in case of Larry's or in case of C programming case. Okay, so then you need to provide a if condition to check whether it is amoeba. If it is amoeba, then you need to read x and y, and based on this x and y, the amoeba shape need to be rotate. So again, a modification comes in the existing code, right? But in Brad, what happens is that Brad need to update only inside the amoeba class. Okay, because the change is only specific to amoeba object. So no need of updating other classes, right? So it is easy and it will not affect the previous class or previous object in case of object oriented. So that is the thing, right? In case of this, we can say that case of object oriented, it is very easy to do the updation because it does not affect other objects. Okay, if there is any updation on a specific object, the updation reflects only the same object, right? So in case of function, if even in case of C program, if there are a lot of objects, we are dealing with the same function, so we need to update this function based on the criteria, and it will affect our all objects. We are using the same function, right? If there are in our case, all objects, for example, all the shapes are using same functions like rotate and place sound, right? So if any changes occurs on the one or if any errors occurs, right, it will affect entire object or entire shape. Okay, so that's the difference, and that's why we are preferring the object oriented concept in the programming side, because in case of real life scenario, we need to get lot of updation around our programming scenario, application, right? If you are doing any website or doing any kind of Android application, right? So we need to create, we need to form this, we need to use this class concept, right? Then so that is we need to do the things object oriented manner, so it is easy for us to handle errors, to do updation, etc., like that. Okay, and also there are a lot of concepts in Java. Okay, so instead of creating all these classes, all these functions, we have the concept like inheritance. So we can use like this, right? We can use concept of inheritance, or we can create a shape class having this rotate and sound function. Then we can use the inheritance concept, right? So all the other classes will inherit the properties of parent class, like that, right? Then we can override some of the properties in case we need to override the properties in amoeba class. In that case, we need to add the rotate and place sound inside the amoeba, so it will override the inheritance. And so what all the functions inside the class or specific to class will works. Okay, so these are called as overriding methods. There are concepts called overriding methods. So with the help of these concepts and all, right, it is very easy, or it is very controllable if you are doing object oriented thing. Okay, so I just give an example how this scenario, how we are going to look at a problem in case of Java or in case of C, right? So both are handling the problems in different manner. Okay, so I hope you got the concept, right? Any questions? So I just explain how the working of C or procedure programming and object programming. Okay, so how we need to study a problem and how to find a solution based on that problem. Okay, the thinking is different, right? In case of procedure, we are thinking about procedures. In case of objects, we are finding objects inside the program like that. Okay, so you understood this example, right? Any questions over this example? Guys, any questions? Ajay, any question? No.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So this is very interesting textbook. All of you can read this book because it is full of images and pictures, so we can easily uh, understood what's the real concept and all. Okay, instead of ordinary textbook, no, it will consist of lot of images, so things we can easily register in our mind. So that is EdFirst publication. Okay, for under this publication, now there are a lot of all kind of programming textbooks are available. Java, PHP, MySQL, everything is available. So it's my favorite editions. So I am always looking for this textbook. Okay. So before going for Java, I just these are the clippings from this EdFirst textbook itself. Okay. So how Java works? So in case of Java, we need to create a source program. Before doing any Java, I hope all of you do the basic things inside Java, right? I hope Jinedran or Raghavan took this Java session. So you have to install Java JDK, Java Development Kit, right? So you need to, then once installed, you need to set the environment variables, right? When it is all done, if the Java is installed in your system, right, then we can get this uh, version, right? If you are Java C space hyphen version, then we will get the version of Java C, Java compiler. Okay, I am using 1.8 Java. So you have to install 1.8 JDK. 1.8 is enough. Okay, go for 1.8 JDK. Once installed, you need to set the environment variables. Once it is done, then you can check whether it is configured properly with the help of this command java c space hyphen version. Okay. So in Java, we have the another advantage of Java is that Java can be work on any kind of devices. So that is the most common thing we can tell about Java. Okay, so Java can work any kind of devices. You do know about Java mobile phones, right? Instead of before the era of Android, most of the mobile phones are Java powered, right? Then it is replaced by Android, right? And Java works in any kind of devices. It can be works inside radio, it can be works inside what we can say inside headset like that. Okay, any kind of devices we can run Java. Okay, so the working of Java and makes the how the Java works now. This concept makes Java can be runnable on any of the devices. All these devices are called as Java virtual machines. Okay, this is the concept. So once we need to create the source code, so once a source code is that is need to write the Java program inside a file, and we need to save that file with extension .java. Okay, so once we created a source file, we need to compile the source file. So once after compiling source file, it will create a bytecode, Java bytecode or class file. Okay, so class file means class file is output of this compiler. So this class file is consists of Java bytecode, and this bytecode can be run on any virtual machine. Okay, so virtual machines may be system or your mobile phone or your clock, any devices having instead of Java virtual machine that can be run this Java class. So if you embed a Java virtual machine inside any of the devices, okay, or any of the devices having this JVM, then these devices can run Java program or Java bytecode. Okay. So Java, while running, what happens? This JVM is the virtual machine, and this virtual machine is uh, dealing with the running of Java program or Java bytecode. Okay, so by running the Java bytecode, this virtual machine interact with the hardware and perform some operation over the hardware. Okay, so this is the thing. So this is the step, that is, we need to create the source file. Then after compile, it will generate a class file. Then we need to run that class file in order to get the output. Okay, so we are running the class file over Java virtual machines. So that we need to create Java runtime environment for running. Okay, for that there are two kind of thing is JRE and JDK. So when you are checking of the internet, you can get Java development kit and Java runtime environment. So that's it. There are differences that in case of JDK, we can able to create Java program. We can able to Java program. Okay, so JRE means only for running the Java program. So after compiling, we will get a bytecode or class code, right? And we are using this bytecode, and we are using this JRM to run that bytecode. Okay, so if you are only installing JRM, what happens that you're not able to run, or sorry, you are not able to compile your program. It is only meant for running. So once you compile your program, then that class file or bytecode is used for running the program, right? So if you compile a program inside your system, then you can get a bytecode, right? So you can use that bytecode, and you can paste or you can copy that bytecode in any device having JRE. Okay, then you can run that bytecode and you will get output. Okay, so in our case, we need to compile and we need to run, right? So we need to install JDK. JDK consists of both of them. And if you are installing JRE, no, you are only able to run Java application, not able to compile Java application. So it is not possible for us because we are developers. So we need to develop Java programs and then we need to compile the Java programs like that. Okay. So this is the core structure of Java. So we need to have a file. Instead of this, we need a class. Inside class, we have methods. Inside methods, we have statement. Okay, so every file is a class file. Okay, so name of a file is like that. What is the name of your class? Okay, if you are giving a class name as ABC, then you need to save that file as abc.java, like that. Okay, so inside the class or inside the class structure, we have statements and methods, or inside the methods also we have different statements like that. So this is an example. So what goes in a source file? So this is a kind of thing, right? The public class dog. So the class file is named as dog. So we need to save this file as dog.java, like that. Okay, so as we discussed now, I hope all of you knew the basic syntax. No? After the name of class, you need to open brace and inside that we need to enter these methods or statements, right? Then the class is closed by closing brace. Okay, so class represents a piece of your program that is inside a that is inside some pair of braces. Okay, so inside the class we can see that we have this is a dog class, right? Inside of the dog class we are writing a function called bark. Okay, so these are the methods that holds instruction that is required to perform some kind of operations. Clear? So this is the inside the methods we have different statements. Okay, so in case of object-oriented programming concept, we are calling methods instead of functions. We call as methods. Okay, and we need to follow some kind of naming concept. Okay, so all the class name must be for starting with a capital D. It is not necessary you need to do like that, but it is a standard way to write a class name. You need to start the class name with capital letter, right? and you need to start the function name or method name with small letters. So that is a standard way. There is no criteria. You can use any kind of terminology, but if you're finding or if you're doing coding in a professional manner, no, you need to keep that standard preferred way. If you're googling and all, no, you get the documentation like that. Okay, so most of the class name having this capital letter starting with capital letters in case of Java. Okay, and all methods in Java or Java libraries are starting with small letters like that. Okay. So this is an example of a Java syntax, Java application. Okay, this is called as public class my first app, right? So you see this class name. Okay, the starting letter of each word is caps. Okay, so this is the preferred way of writing a class name. Okay, you can use any kind of name, but this is the preferred name. So it must be started with capital, and if there is any extra other words, that the starting letter of that word is also start with capital letter. So this is the preferred manner of writing a class name. So we are using public class. The name of this is the name of class, right? After that, the open brace, right? So why we are using the public? Public means it can access to everyone, right? The publicly accessible class, like that. So there are different access modifiers are there that we will discuss: public, private, protect, like that. Okay, here we are using public. Okay, so inside this class we are using a main function, and if main is also a public function, public static void main. So this is the structure for the main function. So after inside the main we have a string array of arguments. So this is a string array, and after this main we need to, this is the main method inside our class my first app. So inside this main method we have a print line statement, that is system.out.print I rule, like that. Okay, this is for printing the statement. System.out.print is for standard output, that is just for printing. Okay, and what all this inside this string is will get an output. No, it will print like that. Okay, and every statement, this is statement, right? Every statement must end with semicolon. So actually in case of Java, it is very properly structured kind of language. It must include all kind of things. Need to be all, every statement must be end with a semicolon, and we need to use and it is very case sensitive. Okay, all the data types values start with capital here. Okay, for example, in case of this string, S is capital. It will not work if you are using small letter s here, because it is a string. String is a data type. Also, each data type is an object of a class. Okay, so there will be a string class in the Java program or Java library. Okay, so string is a object or data type of string class. So that is as I said, this every class must be start with a capital. That is a preferred manner, or that is the manner the entire Java program written, or entire libraries inside the Java program written like that. Okay, all class names start with capital, and if there are more than one words in the class name, then starting of each word must be capital, like that. And all the functions or methods inside the class must be start with small letter, and if there are any other word, then starting of that word must be capital. For example, if there is a function, in this case we have a function like word bark, bark dog, like that. Okay, if there is a function bark dog, then of B small letter, then D is dog is another word, right? So starting of that D will be caps. Okay, that is a preferred manner to write the name of method and the class name. Okay, so you need to follow that method, right? Here this is system, no, S is capital here. Okay, if you provide small letter s, we will get compile error. So system is again a system output and system input. That is again object inside this Java program is for getting the data through the command line or getting the input through the command line for system standard input and output for getting and for printing or reading or printing. For both we are using this system. Okay, here system dot out dot print means it is for standard output. Okay, dot print is the function. Okay, so inside the print we have to provide this any of the content. Okay, we need to provide the string inside this quotes, double quotes, so it will print like that. So I will create an application. There are some programs. I will create an application, same application. So public class is how this my first program. So we need to use this syntax like this. Okay, and we need to use public static void name. This string RJS. Right? System dot out dot print, or we can use println. So what happens in case the difference between print and println is that in println it will be a new line is added after printing the data. It will add a new line. Okay. So I just print my first Java program. Once we enter a program or enter a statement, and statement must be end with semicolon. Then I need to save this program as the class name, that is my first program. My first program dot Java. So now it is a Java file, right? So you need to run this. First we need to compile this program, then you need to run the program, right? For compiling, Java say my first program dot Java. So it will create a class file. Okay, then to run that class file, you need to use my first program dot class. Okay. My program dot Java. My program for Java space my program. That's enough. So after compiling, we will if there is any errors happens, no, we will get the response as error code. No, if there is no error, no, it will compile successfully. Then no, there's nothing will be shown here, right? So after combining, then need to run the Java program as Java space the name of class without the extension. Okay, so we will get the output as my first Java program. So what happens if you miss this semicolon? What happens? We will get an error, right? If you miss semicolon like this, then when you run, you will get an error, right? Expected semicolon like that. Okay, so the compilation doesn't properly work here, right? So this is the syntax. So what I'm saying is that it is not a mandatory thing to use this terminology, but it is preferred if you are using this technology, because all the default for classes or the default functions inside the Java programs uses this kind of terminology. Okay. So there are a lot of programs in my example also. Now there are a lot of programs having starting with small letter. Okay, because this is not created by me. I just copied from other source. So all program is starting small. It will work. Okay, there is no errors like that, but it is preferred to use this kind of terminology, this kind of way of naming. So that is also explained here. So once you create the program, then you need to save the program with the class name. Then you need to compile the program with the help of Java C, the complete name of the file, including the extension, right? After that, you need to run the program like Java, my first app, and you will get the output. So here using two print statement, iRoot and the word. So what's the difference between ln and with? So if you're using print, only print, then there will be no new line created. Here no, after iRoot, a new line is created, then the word is printed, right? If you're using only the print, a new line is not inserted. So let's check. So this is my first line of output and my second line of output. Okay. So just compile again. I'm getting the output as my first program, my first program. So there is, it's printing no directly without any new line insertion. So if you're using ln, then it will create a new line here, print ln. So then again compile, run. So we'll get out as my first program. Then it will create click just an enter or new, it's insert a new line. Then our next data will print like that. Okay. Any question related to this? So we need a main function or main method in order to run a Java program. Okay, without main method, we can't run a Java program. Okay, so why is that? So that in case of Java, in case of Java program, the class having main method, there is no object connected to this class, right? So we are running through the command line without creating any object. In this class, my first program, we are not creating any object. Okay, so that this is because by running a class, we are using the static method. Static means an object or memory is physically or statically allocated for running this main function or main method. Okay, so class having main methods need not create an object to run. The system itself automatically create an object or allocate space for running that program. Okay, so I will show you another. I just create another class here. Class dog as same as this. Okay, we can use class student. So this is. And we have one function public. Okay, public void. Void means we are not having any return type. So if there is this is a return type. Okay, void means no return type. Okay, so in my case void public void, then a function name. So we can use can just use show. Okay, and I'm using a symbol in statement here. And as my student. Here, this is his class name student. Okay, inside this class, we have one method show. and inside the show method we are just printing my student. Okay, there is nothing else. We are just printing the data here as my student. So then I just save this as student.java. Okay, so I saved it here. Okay, so inside this my program.java, I am going to create this student and this my program. These two files must be in same location, then only this will work. Okay, so what I am doing now, I am going to create an object of this student class. We have a student class here, right? So I am going to create an object of this student class. So how to create an object? So this is the syntax of creating an object. The class name space the object reference variable, then equal to new the class name, then open parenthesis, close parenthesis, semicolon. So this is a syntax. Okay, so here we need to create an object inside object of student inside my first program. Okay, so how we are going to create? So for that, student, the name of the class space the variable. So here I am using st equal to new student of. We have just created a object. So st is the reference variable that refer to the object of student class. Okay, now onwards we can refer that object using this variable st. So we can call all the public functions inside this object directly with the help of this st variable. Okay, so in order to print, in order to call this, we need to call this show, right? So st dot show. Okay, so in order to work this thing, this student class and this my program java.java, or that is these two files must be in same location. Okay, otherwise we need to import that program with the help of import words. Okay, we will discuss what is import and how to import later. So in order to work this, you need to keep both program in a same file, so in a same file location. Okay, so in this my first program, I created a student object and I am calling a function inside that student object st.show. Okay, so just run this program again. Java C space my first program dot java, no errors. Okay, so what happens, we will get two outputs, right? First Java program is the output of like this, right? Then we will get my student, so that is through our object. Okay, so this is the way we are creating an object. Clear? You can do this in another manner also. You can do this like that. Okay, I will show you. Here we have a class student. So okay, so I will copy this one and I create another file. Here we have this class and I'm using another file here, class. So I'm writing two classes in same file. Okay, here there are two files are there. Student.java is another file, my first program is another file, and both files are same location. So we can call things like this. We can call, or we can create object with the help of this new command, right? Student, the class of the class name of this student, then the reference variable equal to new student of. Then we can access the functions inside this student class with the help of this reference variable st. So st.show, it will print whatever data inside this student class. Here, we are not running this student Java, right? We only runs this my first program.java. Why? Because a program or Java program runs in case of Java program, the Java program having the main method is the program that runs. Okay, so it will connect other classes if they need. Okay, we are running only a program having this main method. Okay, we are not, it will automatically go and create an object of this student class and all. We are not running, or we are running or doing any operation over this student.java. Yes, we are just create a definition here, and we are using that definition through an object in this class having main method. Okay, so we are only running the class having the main method. Okay. So this is another program. Here I'm saying concept I'm using. Let's create another class. So this is one class. Then I just create another class beneath. So this is student main. For example, this is student main. So inside the student main, I'm copying this main scenario. Okay. So I'm copying this entire main method inside this student main. Okay. Then if we have two class definition in the same file, right? So in that case, we have to save the file having the name of the class that consists of main method. Okay, so we need to save this file as student main, because this student main class have this main method. Okay, if there are more than one class definition in a file, we are using, this is not preferable. Okay, and I just show, this kind of thing also works. Okay, actual manner, actual doing things, we need to create a class of each object separately. Okay, so no need to use this kind of program. So I just show you this kind of program also works. Okay, so I just for understanding only, I'm just showing. Okay, so this is the right way. We need to create a student.java definition in one Java file and the main program in another Java file. So this is the right way. No, this is the way all the professionals are following. Okay, but if you are searching for some documentation, for tutorials, for studying purpose, you can see code like this. So that's why I'm elaborating the concept of this thing also. Okay, so here we need to save the name of the file as student main. Okay, just saving the file as, instead of student.java, student main.java. So this is another file. So if there are more than one classes, then we need to save the file have the name of the class having this main method. Okay, clear? So here I'm using student main, so you can see the student main.java here. Then we are going to compile this student main.java. So no errors. Then we are going to run main. So we will get the same output. My first Java program, then my student. So this is another way of doing things, but this is not preferred. If you are for simplicity, if you can use like this, but this manner is preferred. You need to create an object, or you need to create a definition in some other Java file. Then you need to use all classes, or you should do all main things inside your main program, the class having your main function. Any queries for up to this? Any questions? Okay. So we are concluding today's session. We will take continue tomorrow with the same Java session. Okay, tomorrow also you have assessment regarding Mongo database, MongoDB. So you need to study all the queries related to MongoDB, mainly the CRUD operation. Okay, I'm focusing mainly on the CRUD operation, how to create, read, update, and delete data using MongoDB. Okay, so there will be a lot of queries. The question model will be same like that. You need to type your query. Okay, so we will provide a table and there are 5 or 7 queries will be there. You need to solve these queries. Okay.